Hey everyone, it's Hailey. Not welcome, but it's Bookmas Day. What even? I'm stressed because the sun is setting, okay? It's only 4 o'clock and it's getting so dark and I want to film one more video before it gets dark out. But today is Bookmas Day 8 and I am going to be talking about the books that came out this past year that I really wish I had gotten the chance to get to, but you know, it was a crazy year and also I'm me, so I didn't get to them. As I mentioned, I am like racing to get this video done before the sun sets. So we're gonna have to be quick, we're gonna have to be on top of our words, and guess what? That's probably not gonna happen. So I'm sorry if it gets dark by the end of this, but like I'm trying my best here. I tried to start filming so early, but I have to start so early because the sun sets so early and I'm not used to that. Like the sun sets way earlier. I mean, it's only like an hour, but it sets earlier here than it did in Windsor. And I'm still trying to get used to that, but like, it's real depressing. It's 4 o'clock and it's getting dark. Like what? Anyways, there are truly so many books that came out this past year that I didn't get to. Like literally, I just grabbed 3 more because I saw them as I was talking. But I really hope that, you know, next year I'll be able to get to them. But also next year, there's gonna be new ones coming out. So like, it's a never-ending cycle of just not being able to read all the books and it's so sad. There's also a couple that like, I can't even remember if it came out this past year. Like, did the new Sarah J Maas, the Court of Thorns and Roses one come out last year? By the way, I was just itching my leg, so don't make it dirty. There's so much happening already in this video because I'm panicked. But before we get into the list, don't forget to click that subscribe button so you guys won't miss any of the Bookmas videos. I'm going to be putting out a new video every single day for the entire month of December, and I will also have the playlist link down below so then you won't miss any of the previous ones that I have done already. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first book that I have here is Firekeepers' Daughter by Angeline Boulley. I was so excited for this book. I'm gonna say that so many times, I already know. I'm gonna try and diversify what I'm saying, but this seemed really intriguing because it is a murder mystery and it features a main character who is teaming up with the FBI and using her Ojibwe heritage and her knowledge of traditional Ojibwe medicine to try and like figure out this new drug that has been going around and has been involved in this murder. So it just seems unlike anything else I have ever read before. This cover is absolutely beautiful and I was really hoping to be able to squeeze this one in before the year was over, but unfortunately it didn't end up happening. So it's definitely one that I'm going to try and prioritize going into next year because I really want to read it and it seems super cool. Next is Yolk by Mary H.K. Choi. So I have actually read a Mary H.K. Choi book before and I really didn't like it, so I haven't read anything else by her. But this one was actually sent to me unsolicited and I'm very intrigued by the concept of it. It follows 2 sisters and the one sister ends up being diagnosed with leukemia and these sisters have been estranged for years, but she turns to her sister to try and help her commit insurance fraud so then she can get treatment for her illness. So like, I just was like, what? Like that is such a concept. If that isn't a hook, I don't know what is. It definitely hooked me and made me so interested in what the story is going to be and what is going to happen because I have no clue. So I received this book and really had wanted to read it and just, I didn't end up being able to squeeze it in. I'm so sad about it, but I'm gonna try and get to it. Another book that I didn't get the chance to get to is Vesper by Margaret Rogerson. So this one did come out later in the year, so I don't feel so bad about it. I've been very busy preparing for Bookmas and stuff like that, so it's kind of understandable that I didn't get to read it yet. But this is about a girl who she's working to become a Grey Sister. She's trying to be one of the nuns who cleanses bodies from the evil spirit so then they won't like come back again. But then their convent ends up actually being attacked by some like risen soldiers and she ends up awakening this thing to save them. So I have read 2 of Margaret Rogerson's books before. I've read, actually she only has 2 others and I've read them and really enjoyed them as fantasies. And this one seems like a very dark and different fantasy, so it's for sure one that I have been really interested in. Next is Kingdom of the Curse by Carrie Maniscalco. I did really try to squeeze this one in before the end of the year, but it just didn't end up happening. but like Vesper Teen, this is one that came out near the end of the year, so it's kind of understandable. So this one is the sequel to Kingdom of the Wicked, which I read last year, and I really enjoyed it. It actually, I think it was on my favorites list of the year, but Carrie Maniscalco is the author of Stalking Jack the Ripper, and she just writes really fun gothic fantasies that have very steamy romances. In this case, it's twin witches, and the one twin is murdered, and the other twin ends up awakening this demon prince to try and like find out how she was murdered and exactly what happened. The audiobooks for this series are fantastic, so when I do get around to this one, I'm for sure going to be listening to the audiobook. Next is Beasts of Prey by Ayana Gray. I was so excited to get this arc. So excited, because the concept is very intriguing to me. It kind of reminds me of the Night Circus in a way, but I mean, also not. It's just because it's like this night what's it called? Zoo. I couldn't think of the word. So the main character, she's working at this zoo, which like has all of these really strange creatures, but she's working to try and like pay for her family. She's basically kind of like an indentured servant. So she's caring for these really fearsome, weird creatures to try and pay off her family's debt. And she's also working for this really bad zookeeper. I am so intrigued by like the creatures and everything. Like I've just got a lot of questions. I don't like this cover right now though, because I had a dream the other day about snakes being in the backyard, and my mom's terrified of snakes, and now I'm kind of creeped out by them at the moment. I'm not like usually afraid of those things at all, but it's just the dream was very unsettling, okay? It was like my backyard was filled with like these giant ones, and ooh, I don't like it. I don't like thinking about it. Let's move on. Anyways, next up is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. So this is one that came out later in the year, but I've had the arc for quite a while. I can't exactly pinpoint when I got it, but it's definitely been a little bit. And this is the latest by Stephanie Garber, who is the author of the Caraval series, which I still need to finish, but we're not going to talk about that right now. This is a completely new series, and it deals with a character who her father has a curio shop. So it's kind of like the same sort of idea. I don't know how to describe that. It just kind of has like the whimsy of Caraval, I feel like, where it's a mystery and there's this curio shop. I think it seems very interesting. But the main character ends up learning that the love of her life is about to marry someone else, so she ends up like making a deal with the notorious Prince of Hearts. I feel like Stephanie Garber, for some reason, kind of reminds me of Carrie Maniscalco. I can't really explain why. I feel like they write like sort of, I don't know why, but they kind of remind me of each other a little bit. That doesn't really mean anything, but yeah, I really am excited for a new like set of characters, a new world from Stephanie Garber. So hopefully early 2022. I can read this. I have so many books here, it's ridiculous. Next up is Angel of Greenwood by Randy Pink. I was really excited when I saw this book because I have really been looking to diversify the historical fiction that I've been reading, because a lot of YA historical fiction is predominantly centered around Western like hemisphere and focusing on white characters. So I've been trying to find some new ones. So if you guys have any recommendations, I am always open to those. But this one in particular is dealing with Black Wall Street, which I have read one other book focusing on that topic, and it's something like, it was really hard to read. I think I've read two actually. I know Dreamland Burning is the one, and then I can't think of the other. Maybe I haven't read two. I don't know, but the point is, it was like this absolute massacre on Black people, and it happened in Oklahoma, and it was just like heartbreaking and horrible, and this book is focusing on that, and I think it's going to be a really important read, very impactful, and it's definitely the kind of thing that I tend to find fascinating and always makes it to my favorites list. So I'm hoping that I will really love this one when I read it. Next up is The Lucky List by Rachel Lippincott. So this is actually one of the authors of 5 Feet Apart, and I haven't read anything by her before, but I think that this book seems like it could be really impactful. So it follows a girl who has been really struggling since the loss of her mother. She lost her mother to cancer, and she ends up finding a bucket list that her mother wrote for her senior year, that her mother was doing during her senior year. So as she is in her senior year, she decides to do this bucket list too. I just think that seems like a really like sweet, but also such a sad concept. I think it's going to be a really emotional story, but one that I'm obviously very intrigued by. Like the bucket list is on the back, and I tend to really like bucket list stories. Next is Rise to the Sun by Leah Johnson. This is the latest book by the author of You Should See Me in a Crown, which I read earlier in the year, and I really enjoyed that one. Now, Rise to the Sun is set at a music festival, actually, and it features two strangers who end up coming together over this music festival, and it's just the story of them at a music festival. So it seems like the perfect summer read, which I tried to get to it this summer, but it didn't end up happening. But I definitely I enjoyed You Should See Me in a Crown a lot, so I think that I'll like this one a lot too. Next up is, unfortunately, Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. I have been waiting to read this because I've wanted to be able to give it my full attention and full focus, and I just haven't gotten the opportunity yet. This is the sequel to King of Scars, and that is the story of Nikolai, and I love him so much, so I was so excited when he got his own series. And the sequel, it's been a couple of years since the first one came out, so I will have to refresh my memory, but I remember it was very risky. There were a lot of things that were changed from the original series, but I did really like it. Now, I've been avoiding reviews of this one, but I have heard that people have really liked this one as well. I'm just so eager to be back in the Grishaverse. Leigh Bardugo is one of my favorite authors, so this is one for sure I'm going to be trying to get to in early 2022, probably in January, but I don't know how the month is gonna go, so we'll see. Next up is Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. I read Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim earlier this year and loved it, so since then I've wanted to read this one, which is her latest release. It's a retelling of a fairy tale. I'm not exactly sure which one, I can't remember, but it follows a main character who's a princess, and she has the ability to perform magic, but she's not supposed to, so her stepmother ends up catching her and uses that as blackmail. So she turns her brothers into cranes, and she's not allowed to speak of it at all. So after just Spin the Dawn was so beautiful, it was such an amazing world and a really great and easy fantasy to read. So since then, I have been wanting to pick this one up and would like to do that very soon. Next is Sister of the Bollywood Bride by Nandini Bajpai. I got an arc of this and was immediately super pumped to read it, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. It makes me so sad that I can't read all of the books. But this one is about a sister who is planning, well, it's about a girl who's planning her sister's wedding, and she's trying to plan the perfect Bollywood wedding because they lost their mother, and she's trying to plan the wedding that her mother would have planned for her. So I think this is going to be a really emotional one, but also it seems like it could be a lot of fun and have a very strong family relationship and specifically sisterhood. So that's definitely something that I usually really love. It's already getting so dark and I still have so many more books to talk about. I'm sorry, the lighting is gonna get so bad. Oh, I tried. Next is Kate in Waiting by Becky Albertalli. So I actually saw this book was coming out, and it kind of it didn't really catch my attention that much. I don't know if it was the cover or whatever, but I just kind of kept on scrolling past it. And then I realized that it was written by Becky Albertalli, and I don't know why I hadn't realized that before, but I was like, oh. So this is the latest release by Becky Albertalli, and I haven't read anything by her recently. I think the most recent one that I read was her book with Adam Silvera, and I wasn't a big fan of that one. I think a sequel is either coming out or came out this past year. But this one is a completely new story by her, so I definitely would like to read more Becky Albertalli. I love her writing, so I would love to know more about this one. I believe it deals with Broadway, and that's all I really know, but I don't really need to know anything else. Next is We Can't Keep Meeting Like This by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I read my first Rachel Lynn Solomon book this year, and spoiler alert, if you haven't watched my favorites of the year list, it definitely made it on there. So since then, I've been wanting to read more by her, and I tried to read this one this summer because it deals with weddings, and for me, I just want to read all the wedding books in this summer. My sister's actually getting married this coming summer, so maybe I should save it for that. But this in particular is following the daughter of is she the daughter of a caterer, or is she the musician? Nope, there's no musician. I don't know. Oh wait, no, there is a musician. Okay, I wasn't just making that up. But Quinn's parents are wedding wedding planners, and Tariq's parents own a catering company. So they see each other over the summer at all these different weddings, all these different events, and you see them having like this kind of enemies to lovers relationship over the course of that. I think it's enemies to lovers. Anyways, we shall see. It seems super cute either way. Next up is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. This is the latest book by the author of Red, White, and Royal Blue, which obviously I'm sure you've heard of. I loved that book. It was on my favorites list of the year when I read it. Maybe it was last year, I can't remember. But this is kind of different for them because it has a magical element to it. So this girl finds out that her subway crush is actually stuck from the 1970s. So I don't really know what's gonna happen there, but I'm definitely very intrigued. I also realized that I have a box of books that I still need to haul in the corner, and some of them are 2021 releases, so like some of them I should include in here, but we're just gonna pretend that they're not there. It's fine. Next is Bloodlike Magic by Lascelles Sambury. I've been super intrigued by this book because it's a fantasy where it kind of reminds me of like the original concept for the Raven Boys, where it's about a girl who like she has to kill her first love, but the thing is she's never fallen in love before, so she like has to fall in love with someone and then kill her first love. So like that seems like not a recipe for a really great relationship, but definitely for an intriguing story. We are almost at the end of the list. I mean, I say that there's still quite a few books, and the sun, she's gone. I mean, I can still kind of see the sky, but she went behind the earth or whatever. What? Anyways. Next is Lore by Alexandra Bracken. This came out really early in 2021. It must have been January. And I just, you know, it never made its way to my TBR. I mean, that's a lie. It did make its way to my TBR. I'm sorry. I got creeped out because I heard a noise and I'm home alone, and now it's dark and I don't like it. It's definitely the cat though, but it's fine. The dog didn't react, so we are fine. So many things are happening now. I have not filmed this many videos in a row in a while. This is my 5th one, and as you can see, my sanity is quickly deteriorating. But this is a Greek story, and it is following Medusa, I believe. No, it's not Medusa. I'm just making that up from looking at the cover. I remember now. They, like, the gods have to go to Earth for like every so many years, and this is about the gods on Earth. Next is A Chorus Rises by Bethany C. Morrow. This I actually had started reading, and I don't know, there was too much going on with the move, so I didn't end up continuing with it. But this is the companion to A Song Below Water, and it is like a siren story, but in this case we are focusing on the YouTuber that the girls in the first book really love and are obsessed with. So I'm so excited for the YouTuber to get her own story, because like she reveals herself as a siren, and that's a major catalyst for the first book, and she seems very intriguing. Next is The Heart Principle by Helen Huang. This is the latest book in the Kiss Quotient companion novel series, and I really need to get caught up on it. I have heard though that this one is a little bit more emotional and intense than the other books in the series, so just do be aware of that. But this follows a violinist, and then it is Kwan's love story, and I'm really excited for Kwan to get his own love story, and the violinist, she ends up going viral unexpectedly, so it seems like it could be really fun. Next is The Bones of Rune by Sarah Raleigh. I've talked about this book quite a bit. I haven't had it for like a long time, but since I've heard of it, I've just been dying to read it. It is about a tightrope walker in Victorian London, and she's used to like being the spectacle of colonial gaze because she's an African tightrope walker in Victorian London, so everyone's like, ooh. But she also has a secret where she actually can't die, so that's super intriguing. Okay, we're finally on the last book here. So the final book is Witches Steeped in Gold by Sienna. No, someone told me it's Shannon, and I've been pronouncing it incorrectly this whole time, so I'm sorry, but thank you for correcting me. If I am pronouncing anything wrong, please do correct me in the comments nicely. I do try and like Google how authors say their names beforehand, but this one I thought I had it, but I didn't. So Witches Steeped in Gold by Shannon Smart. This, I was so excited leading up to its release. It is a Nigerian inspired fantasy. What is happening to me? And it seems really cool. It's about witches who are very like, they're from opposite sides of the world, and they end up having to team up together. Okay, so that is all for Bookmas Day 8. Those are the 20 2021 book releases that I didn't get the chance to get to. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I'm sorry that it was kind of a mess. The sun goes down and apparently so does my mental capacity. But tomorrow for Bookmas Day 9, I think I just asked you guys on Instagram, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be sharing my almost favorite books of 2021. So the books that I did like really enjoy, but I just didn't love them enough to include them on my favorites list, but I still want to share the love for them with you guys. So don't forget to subscribe and click that notification icon, so then the little bell thing, so then you'll be notified whenever a new video goes up, because there will be a new one every single day for the entire month of December. So thank you so much for watching this one, and I will see you tomorrow in a new video. Bye!